Welcome to video 4 of the Loose Leash Walking Challenge. Today, we're going to be working on adding in some distractions while we're working with our dog on their loose leash walking position. And what we're going to be doing is utilizing what I call penalty yards. So I'll have a distraction present for my dog. I'm going to start with a lower level distraction like a toy, and then work up to a bowl of food. Now what you want is you want to make sure that it's still a reinforcer that your dog likes and wants and is going to be something that's a distraction for him, but you also want to make sure it's something that he is able to eat or have. So when you set this out, make sure it's not a full cheeseburger. You can put a couple of treats inside of a bowl and work with that as your distraction to start with. So what we're going to do is we're going to loose leash walk up to that distracting item. And if my dog is able to loose leash walk all the way up to it, then he can have it. If he starts to pull at any point, I'm going to give him penalty yards. So what that means is that I'm going to take several steps backwards or go all the way back to the starting point that I started at. And he has to use impulse control walking all the way back up to it. Now, when I first get started with this, I want to use a really high rate of reinforcement as we're walking up to the distraction. What that means is that I'm going to click and treat him almost every step as we're walking up to this distraction. So let's get started. I've got my distraction here, and so you can tell Rue really wants it. Thank you, drop. Can you go over this way? And I'm going to set it out in front of us. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few steps back so that we have plenty of room to walk up to it. And I'm going to start walking towards the reinforcer, the distraction, and I'll click and treat my dog as we go. And Rue is an old pro at this, so as soon as we've gotten to the reinforcer, I can tell him, get it, get your toy, get it, let's go. And he can have a little bit of fun with his toy as well. Good job, bud. We'll take a little play break. Good job. Very nice. And now we'll give it a try again. And I'm going to make this one a little bit more challenging for him. Ready, drop. Do you want this thing? Do you want this thing? So I'm going to make it more exciting and more challenging for him so that you guys can hopefully see some mistakes that he makes. Do you want this thing? Do you want it? Do you want it? Do you want it? Ready? Okay. So now we're going to start loose leash walking up to it, clicking and reinforcing. Good job. Okay, get it. Get it. And he was amazing during that trial as well. You did very good, bud. You did very good. We're going to use another demo dog so that we can show you some mistakes. But I want to show you with Rue real quick. I'm going to show you that penalty yard with him, even though he's not making a mistake, just to show you guys, make a point with it, okay? Drop. Okay, get over here. Get over here, okay? So if I toss this out there, and if Rue were to pull, I can gently move him backwards this way. So I've got my leash attached to the front leash attachment point on the balance harness. So if he made a mistake and pulled here, I'm just going to do penalty yards, walk backwards to my starting point, and then we'll go forward again, okay? Now I should reinforce him as we're going here, but say he made a mistake and pulled, just going to put a little leash pressure on his front leash attachment point, walk backwards and make him try again. Yes, get it. Nice job, bud. Nice job. All right, we're going to pull Polar out here so that you can see him a little bit more distracted. All right, so I've got Polar here. He has a little bit less experience with loose leash walking, and especially with these distractions. So I think we're going to be able to see a little bit more the learning opportunity for him. So I've got a little paper bowl here, and I've got a small handful of treats in there, enough to hopefully keep it stable on this windy day that it's not going to take off on us. I don't want too many because I want to eventually be able to send him to the bowl to let him eat out of it. So what I'm going to do is obviously I'm going to show him the distraction. I'm going to set it out of his reach, and I've got my leash attached to the front leash attachment point for him. So I'm going to get him to come with me in order to get started. He's very excited about that. Okay. I'm going to click and reinforce him for paying attention to me. And then we're going to try and walk to that distraction. If he makes any mistakes, then we'll use our penalty yards and come back to this starting point. So we're going to walk together If he pulls or gets ahead of me, I'm just gonna take a couple of steps backwards and then we'll start again. Now I wanna make sure that if I have to use penalty yards with him, I'm also really evaluating whether or not I've really taught this skill and whether or not I've given him the best chance of success. So increasing my rate of reinforcement, so I'm giving him a click and a treat at every step right now, is going to help him be more successful. That was a very good decision. Okay, get it. And at this point, I'm not going to ask him to walk all the way up to the bowl. I'm going to send him to it and let him have the reinforcers when we're about 2 feet away. Eventually, we'll get to a point where we can loose leash walk past it or around it. All right, so I'm gonna gently hold on to his leash. I'm gonna put a couple more cookies in there for him, and then we'll reset. I'm gonna let it be his choice. Very nice to walk away from that. I let it be his choice while I'm walking away from that. Ask for a simple behavior like a nose touch so I can reinforce him for something. And then we're going to loose leash walk up to it. Let's go. Okay, get it. He's only allowed to have the reinforcers out of that bowl if I've specifically given him permission to do so. So let's give that one more try. We're gonna up the ante with him, make it a little bit more distracting. Good decision, very nice. All right, so we're loose leash walking up to this. He makes a mistake, I just stop. We're gonna go back this way, and then we'll try again. If he gets too far in front of me, we just reset those little penalty yards. Good boy. Very nice. What happened? So it doesn't have to be anything huge and traumatizing. We're not, popping him on the leash or anything like that. We're just simply stopping, telling him, hey, that's not how we get the cookies, and we'll reset. Now, obviously, I have not done much to set him up for success here. I've not given him any reinforcement aside from some verbal praise here, and so that can eventually be really frustrating for him. I'm kind of pushing him a little bit so that you can see what this exercise can look like as you're getting started with it with your dog when they're making a lot of mistakes. But remember, if they're making a lot of mistakes, that probably means that we're not reinforcing the behaviors that we're looking for enough. So we want to make sure we go back to that high rate of reinforcement. And you can see how brilliant he's doing here. Oh no, I didn't say so just yet. I was pushing him. Let's go, bud. You can do it. All right, so high rate of reinforcement, moving up to it. Very nice. Okay, get it. And then eventually he gets the reinforcers that are in the bowl. He did an awesome job, very resilient puppy, even though I thinned my reinforcement schedule on him pretty quickly. So we want to make sure that we set them up for success, that we give them as much reinforcement as we can for the behaviors that we're looking for. But if they make a mistake or they lunge or pull towards something that they're really excited about, we've got another tool in our toolbox, and that's penalty yards. Just take a couple of steps away in order to kind of reset them, and then eventually send them to that for their reward or reinforcer. So give this exercise a try with your dog today.